So I've been looking at a lot of stuff online. There are so many different forms of creatine that require different amino acids and different carbohydrates and stuff to help with retention of them and things like that. There's so much going on here. And honestly, the people the people that see the greatest I had first of all, I'm a little shook up right now cuz I'm over here watching Vegan Gains and Frank talk about their debate. They're doing their debate number 3 right now, and it's a complete shit show again. So I had to walk away from it. I was like, you know what? These guys are just mouthy, loud, arguing back and forth, and I had to come over here to do this because I was losing my train of thought on what I wanted to talk about today. But there's creatine monohydrate, there's creatine glycinate, there's creatine hydrochloride forms and stuff like that. There's um, you don't have to use supplements. That's not what this is about. This is about the people that want to use supplements. Is creatine, to me, honestly, in my honest opinion, creatine is it's not something that's required. It's not something that's necessary. It's not even something that's going to benefit most people from actually eating ample amounts of red meat that has plenty of creatine in it. What people that supplement creatine that find the greatest effect of its overall use are people that don't work out, people that don't eat a well-balanced diet, people that have had a crappy diet for a long period of time, and they've cleaned their act up, and then they're trying to eat better and supplement. Excuse me. But creatine in general seems to have the greatest effect on people that are very lean, that don't have any muscle mass, they don't eat a lot of creatine to begin with, and there's a proper procedure that you have to go through to getting into right creatine synthesis. And a lot of that creatine retention is based on carbohydrate and protein ingestion, more carbohydrate than anything because it helps retain water. Different types of creatine people think are better active than others, and a lot of it's personal opinion, but the study that I'm going to reference and the write-up that's on it uses creatine monohydrate as the number one form of creatine with the greatest impact overall. And people take creatine forms that are bound to salt and things like that. What's going on? And they think that having a creatine bound to salt is going to have a better ingestion rate. It's going to be better for you bioavailable wise. That's not necessarily the case. Creatine monohydrate seems to show in this particular study that it had the greatest effect overall with the majority of people, and a lot of it has to do with carbohydrate ingestion as well. So, on a carnivorous diet or a ketogenic diet, we don't have a lot of carbohydrate ingestion. So about 25% of that creatine withholding we may end up urinating out anyway because we don't have the carbs and the sugar in our diet to retain that type of creatine. So automatically we're at a loss because we're already utilizing a very low carb, very low sugar diet. So we're not going to be able to retain that water retention and stuff that we normally would if we were having just a regular low carb diet or a standard American diet. So creatine, it goes through the synthesis and stuff inside the body that creates more muscular energy and stuff in general. Now, if you're eating a well-balanced diet and you're eating plenty of meat in general, are you going to notice an effect from creatine? No, you're not. You're probably not going to notice any kind of effect from creatine right away unless you're some kind of super, super, super high performing athlete. You're the top of your class and stuff. Yeah, I'm not. I hate. I went over there to entertain, to at least give Vegan Gains and Frank a little bit of my time to just entertain and see what it was going to be about, and it was a waste of time. I had to walk away from it because it was ridiculous, the screaming and yelling and stuff that was going on, and they were getting nowhere. Frank claims to know the best when it happens to LDL. Vegan Gains claims to know the best when it comes to LDL. Neither one of them act like they know their ass from a hole in the ground half the time. So I don't even care. Anyhow, all the different forms of creatine do different things in the body. You can use them for different purposes, but anaerobic exercises seem to respond the best to it. So if you're doing short or high strength, short burst exercises, like compound exercises, squat, deadlift, bench press, hang clean, any kind of heavy movements that are not super involvement, like multiple muscle parts at the same time, other than just your regular compound movements, seem to be the most responsive to ingesting creatine. Now, your aerobic exercises can as well, but it's a duration thing, So maybe you have more creatine in the body right now, and maybe you can promote more oxygen intake, and maybe you get this duration over 150 seconds of repetitive movement, to where you might get some effect of the longevity of the movement that you're doing, the fact that you can keep going. But in the short term, a repetitive movement doesn't seem to have the same impact until you keep doing it and you start to exhaust the body, to really start to allow creatine to start to work inside the cell, inside the body, to create that muscle energy. The compound movements, heavyweight exercises, seem to have the best response to it right away. Uh, younger children or teenagers and stuff like that, say an 18-year-old male is pumping out is pumping out testosterone like crazy, but they don't produce certain phosphates and stuff that adults and stuff do, where we've already gotten to that point where our body's matured. So they may actually benefit from creatine ingestion. And that's something that hasn't been studied yet, but what we're starting to see is that even if we give more forms of creatine towards our younger athletes and stuff like that, it could help them perform at a higher level, because they're not producing certain things in their unmatured body that adults are. And would I suggest doing something like that? Probably not. It's not a great idea. I mean, their body has to mature in a development growth factor that it's part of development. If you were created to be able to produce that kind of energy and those types of things that a matured adult body would produce, then that's how you would have been built. But that's not how you're built. So I don't necessarily know that would be a good idea. Plus, you start playing with the fact of messing with a child's hormones, their growth ability, and there's probably a number of things that can be messed up in the process, especially when it comes to addiction and stuff like that. If you start allowing teenagers and children and stuff to start consuming supplements like creatine, which some of them are already doing it. There are some football coaches and stuff like that I've read articles on, that they're trying to have their athletes take that stuff, even though it's natural, and it's increasing their performance. But what it ends up leading to is an addiction, more and more and more. They want more. Now they want to take testosterone booster pills. Now they want to take anabolic steroids and stuff like that, and they keep trying to stretch out and reach this next level of performance, because as a young age they're already producing so many hormones as it is. There's certain things that just haven't developed inside the body yet. So creatine is a very powerful tool, but most of the studies that are done are that they find the greatest impact are people that don't work out. They're people that don't eat a well-balanced diet. They're people that clean up their diet, and right in the beginning they start loading creatine. So you might have 20 grams of creatine a day for 4 to 5 days before you start taking a maintenance phase of creatine. So 20 grams, 20 grams, 20 grams, 20 grams, 20 grams for like 5 days straight. And you'll break that up into like the morning 5 grams, in the afternoon 5 grams, at dinner time 5 grams, right before bed 5 grams. And you preload creatine for 5 days, and you get your muscles saturated with this creatine. And then you take a maintenance phase of creatine every single day, which would be like 3 to 6 grams of creatine to keep those levels up, that muscle saturation of creatine in the body up throughout that period. And you're creating this muscle energy and stuff like that, that yes, you probably will get better performance. You will get more. You might increase your one rep max. It might go up substantially, actually. But in turn, what are we doing? We could be increasing our water retention in our body. Increasing our water retention in our body is going to do what else? It's also going to limit our mobility. our arms aren't going to be able to move as much. When they actually started testing people and looking at the mobility of people after they've ingested creatine for long periods of time, there's so much water retention and stuff in the body, they're not as mobile as they were before. Their arms don't move as much as they were before. When they talk about the retraction or the contraction and the eccentric and decentric movements, they seem to be harder to do because now there's so much water retention in the muscle, you can't move as freely. Your legs and stuff don't bend the same way that they did before. You might find that during your squats and stuff like that, you can't sit down as low because your legs are more full of water and stuff. There are a number of things that can change once you start building that water retention. Now, being on a low carb diet, or being on a ketogenic diet, or a carnivorous diet, you're not going to have as much water retention as some. They might load dextrose, they might load maltodextrin, they might load these high glycemic sugars and stuff like that because they're athletes. They can handle that kind of stuff to help increase that creatine retention and that full look. But at the same time, the benefit of doing that is just for an aesthetic look. The benefit of doing that is to help create or to retain that creatine because they're top tier athletes, they're high level athletes. Now, you as an individual, preloading 20 grams a day and then taking a maintenance level of 3 to 6 grams, even sometimes up to 10 grams per day, depending on how often you work out, how much you work out, how much you sweat, how many carbs and sugar you're eating and stuff like that, all plays into how this happens. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that stuff. You see these guys on these keto groups and stuff like that, and the carnivore groups, and they all want to argue with each other. Oh no, I just started taking this awesome creatine supplement, and it's got all this and that and everything else. And I'm the guy that pops up and says, how often do you work out? You work out, 3 or 4 times a week, maybe 45 minutes. What are you doing? You're not going to even be able to utilize the creatine retention and the muscle energy effect, the muscle saturation effect that it has to help you at all. I mean, now we already know that the journey and stuff that we're on, the more you work out, the more you stress the body, the more you raise your cortisol levels, the more you hamper your weight loss and a lot of your gains at times. I had a girl working with me a few years ago. She would supplement creatine, and she would she would just run all the time. And she was running 5-6 days a week. And I asked her one day, I said, why do you think that you have to do all this? Why do you think that you have to just, constantly tax your body the way that you are? And you're stressing your body out so much you don't even realize you're doing it. And she said, well, I just like running. And I said, have you lost any of the inflammation in your body or anything at all? Well, no, I haven't. What you're doing is super stressful for the body. I understand you may like it. I understand that it may be something that you like to do, and I'm not telling you not to do it. But what I'm trying to tell you is that overall, I'll touch on that in this video when it's over, or when we're done talking about creatine. I'll just remind me if you stay around. So I had her reduce the amount of time that she was running. Don't go out there and run and kill yourself for 2 hours. And then, she wanted to do the ice baths and the hot showers and stuff like that, which I do support that type of stuff. It is very good therapy for the body in general. But my question to her was, what are you trying to prove by doing this? I mean, running that often, that long, every single day is super stressful for the body, and your body's not able to use what you're trying to utilize as supplementation. There's a whole level of things that go along with this. Okay, so if I'm going to take creatine, then I need to take like an L-arginine supplement, and maybe I need to take a small dose of carbs with it and a certain amount of protein. Like these athletes that do this stuff, that take this stuff every single day, that rely on these supplements, they know the compounds, they know what they have to do because they're performing athletes. They're not the regular Joe like me or you that can afford to sit down for an hour or two and figure out the formula and stuff, or pay somebody $400 or $500 to set us up with a supplement workout plan to say, when you take your creatine, this is what you need to be taking right along with it. When you take your L-arginine, this is what you need to be taking along with it. When you take, whatever it is, creatine or something like that, this is what you take along with it. So the regular Joe Schmo is never going to be able. This is my personal opinion, and it's based on performance. I mean, I used to be real big into performance and powerlifting and stuff, which I still am, but I'm just not to the level that I was. I mean, I would order $500-$600 of supplements every single day, from bodybuilding, or not every month, from bodybuilding.com, and I had it rolling. It would come in every single month, especially when I was in Iraq and I had nothing to do. All I did was just work out all the time. I had pre-pills, post-pills, pre-powders, post-powders, all these other things. And you know what? On a cycle of knowing how they all worked, my body handled them very well, because I relied more on supplementation than I did on food. But when I was there, I was eating a carnivorous diet. But when I did take these things, I would preload some, 25 to 50 grams of carbohydrates, dextrose or maltodextrin, before I would go to the gym. And then after, I would preload, or post-load. And I would try to keep my glycogen stores up all the time. A lot of those stores is heavily dependent on how these things are going to act inside your body as well. When you take people that have, brain conditions, and you take people that have minor health issues and stuff like that, and you gauge, is creatine able to help those people? Creatine does have an effect on the brain as well. It does have a semi-healing effect. So whenever you're looking at the bigger picture here, it's important to realize that there are a number of things that supplements can do. It's not just for it's not for power work. It's not for endurance work all the time. It's not for just anabolic or aerobic work, or anaerobic or aerobic work. There's a number of things that supplementation can be used for. It just depends on what you want. The majority of us, we're just wasting our money taking it. I eat plenty of red meat as it is. I get plenty of creatine as it is. I don't need to add more to it and then piss it back out because my body can't retain it. So that's my talk on creatine, and I don't think most people can actually use it. I don't think most people are serious enough and in tune with their diet and what they need to do enough to actually see an effect from these things. There are a few people out there that are pretty serious about everything, and they've got their act together when it comes to it. Sure, absolutely, I agree that there are some people that can use it and get benefit from it, but me, you, and most of these other people that are probably going to watch this video in the future, they're not going to be able to really sustain a level of diet and activity and education behind what they're doing to really utilize the product. So I don't know if it's better to end this video and come back and talk about pre-workout, or I'll just do it now. Okay, so you asked about pre-workout. I used to be big into pre-workout. My cousin the other day, she made a comment to me. She's one of the top lifting girls in the world for right at the end of high school, college. Her name is Lily Paso, Lilly, or Lilly Paso. You can find articles on her. She squatted like 675 to like 725 pounds at like the age of 20 years old or something like that. She's a big girl. She's tall. She's not fat or anything like that, but she's really thick, and she's very strong. She's one of the top leading girls ever in it's like high school or college history to ever squat that much weight. She's a very, very, very strong girl. And she was saying, we can't take pre-workout before our meets and stuff like that because she's a coach. And I said, well, what do you drink then? And she said, well, I drink a Bang energy drink. And I said, that's like the same thing as a pre-workout, right? And she said, no, it's really not. And I said, no, it is. It's almost the exact same thing. You've got 300 milligrams of caffeine in that. You've got all these, creatine and all B vitamins, all this other stuff that maybe, I don't know if Bang has B vitamins or not. But you're doing the same thing as a pre-workout. It can be classified as the same thing because it was never just made to be an energy drink. It was made as a workout supplement. a dietary supplement. That's why VPX made it. It was made to use as a workout supplement, and it was like 360 milligrams when they first created it, but it's back down to 300 now. And people eat this stuff like it's candy, and it's ridiculous because now they're drinking this stuff like it's crack, which they get addicted to it just like crack. Pre-workout can be great, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of times where I fall on my face because of that. I take a pre-workout, it stims the crap out of my face. I'm buzzing all over the place. I feel amazing. I go into the gym and I just kill it. And I'm pulling, 400 pounds, 450 pounds. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. I feel great. But that's not me. I cannot, I don't know why I want to train like that if that's not how I normally function. What ends up happening is I feel great in the gym and I lift all this weight and stuff and it makes me feel amazing. But then when I get to work in my real life where I'm not taking pre-workout all day, I'll go to do something that I think I can do because I had pre-workout and I hurt myself. My body's not prepared for it. It's not ready for it. The engagement and stuff, hormone, chemical levels and stuff in my body, when you take pre-workout, everything starts to change and prepare you for what you're about to do. You work out like an animal and everything's great. But whenever you're not taking it and it's not in your system, you think that you're just as strong as you did when you did it and you hurt yourself. And that's what I've done many times. I like it to an extent. I like the way it makes me feel. I like the way it makes me perform. But pre-workout in general to me is just another way for your body to get this like almost high and make you feel like you're bigger and badder than what you actually are. It shows you that you have a lot more potential than what you do, but you're not engaging it naturally. And then when you do go to use it, your body's not ready for it. You're not even prepared for what's about to happen. And I one night I went and I was doing sets of 5x5. It's just 405 5 times, 405 5 times, 405 5 times, and I'm pulling deadlifts just 405. My deadlift has went way down. I'm getting older. I'm starting to hurt, and I'm just not so focused on that anymore. And then I'm 315 8x5s is what I call them. 8 bench press, 8 8 8. Just keep doing it like that. Well, then I get to my job the next day and I'm pulling a rear end out of a Dodge Ram, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'll be able to swing that other end out of the way. And I went down to go pick that thing up, and I went to pick it up. And as soon as I went to pull, I pulled like I was pulling the night before at the gym on pre-workout. I tore my back up. I just, and then I looked at myself and it's like, you know what? If I would have had that pre-workout and stuff, I bet you I could have pulled that up like it was nothing. Probably no problem at all. So I like it. I think it can make people feel good and learn what their potential is, what they can actually train like. But I also think that it gives you this false image of what you like, or not image, but the false ability of what you can actually do on a normal daily basis. So I pick and choose whenever I use it. I might use it on Monday and Thursday, but the rest of the week I don't use it at all because I don't want to train like that. I don't want to feel like that I can do something more than what I can do all the time. And that's me. I think it could benefit. I think they put a lot of junk in it. Sometimes it's not necessary. I think a lot of pre-workout doesn't necessarily come from being pre-workout. It comes from that energy buzz from the caffeine. So I think in the grand scheme of things, if somebody just learned to drink some black coffee before they went to the gym, that would almost get the same effect. Um, if you really wanted, a full, like pre-workout effect, get yourself some beta-alanine and some black coffee. You get the energy buzz, or you get the energy from the caffeine, and you get that buzz all over your body and stuff from the beta-alanine, that tingling feeling that pre-workout gives you. And then you don't have all the other junk that's in the product. It's just, I drank a drink, pre-workout drink about 2 months ago that had about, I think it was either 1,500 milligrams of beta-alanine or 3,000 milligrams of beta-alanine per one bottle. And I drank that bottle, and it made me feel like I was on fire. It made my body feel like my skin was literally melting off my body because of how hot I was. I started breaking out with rashes inside my ear. I was breaking out with rashes on my face. It was all down my arms. One of the doctors in the gym came up to me and he said, "Did you drink that beta-alanine drink up there?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm a chiropractor, but I also teach sports nutrition and stuff like that. I work with a lot of top tier athletes, the Chicago Bears and all this other stuff, and not the Chicago Bears, the LSU, LSU football team. He works on athletes from them, and he said, I have to get them off this kind of stuff because they get hooked on it. And there's a lot of research and stuff now that's starting to show that it's not that great for people. I mean, I know you want that buzz, that tingling sensation, the tingle around your ears and stuff like when you take pre-workout. But he was telling me, he said, I would really recommend against taking that stuff. Just black coffee before you go to the gym, and you're all right. There's no need for all that pre-workout stuff. It doesn't really do that much for you. And I was like, okay. So I wanted to pop a question on him to test how honest he was about stuff. And I said, so what do you think about the carnivore and the keto diet? He said, I love it. Some of my athletes are on it. He said, I don't follow that social media mainstream stuff. He said, I do stuff in my practice privately myself. He said, there's nothing wrong with fat. There's nothing wrong with protein. The enemy is the refined carbs and sugar. And I said, that's exactly what keto is. And he said, I know. And he said, I've never been against it. I think it's a phenomenal way to eat. If somebody can do it and stay on it, then stay on it. So I was instantly attracted to what the guy was saying because he was so open and honest about things, and he wasn't dogmatic in any approach. And, it's just pre-workout can be great every once in a great while. But having pre-workout every time you go to the gym, I think it's a stupid mistake. And I think people that do it every single time they go to the gym, they're asking for problems. It should not be something that's consumed more than once or twice a week. I might not even do that. I would consume it maybe once a week on my heavy day, and then I'll try to train on my other days to get to that point, to know what I'm trying to shoot for, and then when I reach it, I may use it as a tool to gain again. But in the meantime, I don't think it should be something that's consumed every single day. And a lot of people they've started taking pre-workout as a measurement, or as a not even having coffee in the morning anymore. They wake up and they take pre-workout to get their day started, and I'm like, what are you doing? This is nuts. You're talking 250, 300, 350, 500 milligrams of caffeine. What was that old pre-workout? Jacked 3D, the original formula, but it had like 600 milligrams of caffeine per serving or something like that. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's nuts. That is nuts. When I took that stuff, I was on fire. I mean, I did stuff in the gym that I could never do. I mean, it just gives you this false sense of what you can do, and you're looking for problems with taking it all the time. I just don't think it's a good idea. That's my personal opinion. So that's where I stand on that stuff, guys. I want to keep you on here that long. I know supplements are necessary. There's a lot of people that say supplements are not necessary. I think that's BS. I think supplements are necessary. There's a lot of people that have to supplement because they don't get enough through their food, or even through supplements sometimes, because their body shuts down certain mechanism, receptors, transporters, things of that nature to make certain things happen. So you almost have to have supplements. But I think they're abused. I often tell a story about what it takes to put a supplement on the market, and it's nothing. It's super easy. I can make a supplement. If I had $3,000 in my hand right now, I could have you guys a keto protein in 2 months' time, made with labels on it, ready to ship to your house. It's the supplement world. It's a nasty world. It's a dirty world, and anybody can create a supplement for anything, and you don't even know. You don't even know the effort that it takes to get it done. It's nothing. To run a business, a supplement business, is very difficult. It's extremely hard. But I wanted to figure out what it would take for me to make my own keto, super clean, grass-fed, MCT oil-based keto protein. So 2 years ago, I called up a company in New York and I said, I want to create a keto protein. I want it to have about 16 grams of fat, 18 grams of fat, and about 10 grams of protein. But I want it from grass-fed sources. I want really good organic MCT oil. I don't want no junk. I don't want no emulsifiers. I don't want nothing. I want people to know this is a naked version of the cleanest keto meal replacement that you could possibly have. And coming from me, I know people will trust me. I know people know I don't like all that other junk, and they're going to have to understand it's not going to be the best tasting protein. You can add some peanut butter powder to it, or some vanilla powder or something, or whatever it is to it, a couple drops of cinnamon extract or whatever to make it taste. but it's a clean protein. That's the benefit of it. That's the basis of it. It's an organic grass-fed source. So I said, what is the minimum shipment that you could ship me? And they said, well, probably 144 tubs is what we're at minimum wise, and we could do everything all in house. We could do your labeling, your bottling. We can get everything grass fed shipped in that we need. Everything can be done right here. And I said, what does it take to get it started? And I even put a post up on my keto group about this a couple years ago to see just to weigh out the odds and see who was interested in this type of stuff. And coming from me, they didn't trust all these other sources, and they asked me. A lot of people asked me to come up with something like this, and I said, you know what? I would take a fiber from fruit that's non-glycemic. I don't want any glycemic reaction, but it's a fiber from fruit that doesn't have an effect on the body. It's stevia sweetened. I want strawberry, chocolate, caramel flavor, something like that. And I want grass-fed sources from Canada cows. I don't want them from the United States. I want them from Canada. And I found a source that was more restrictive, like they were more clean in Canada. And they said, okay, we can make all this happen. You'd need about $1,400 down. And what we'll do is we'll create 3 shipment samples. We'll send them to you. And then when it's done, you just come up with the rest of the other $2,000. And I could have you literally 144 tubs shipped to your house. And we're talking, if it wasn't grass-fed whey and just regular whey, I can get it to you for about $16 a container. But if you want grass-fed, it's going to be more like $19. To increase your fat levels from 16 at the time to more like 18 or 19, like I told him I wanted to be a good amount of fat. He said, you're probably talking about another $1 a tub. So, out the door, grass-fed, MCT oil, no emulsifiers, no junk, no additives put in it. You're talking, between $18, $19 a tub, and that's at the high end. And he said, if we really got fancy with it, $20. But then you'd turn around and you'd market your product at double, if not triple, because a lot of these other companies out there are selling them for $75 to $100 a tub. And I said, well, if I was the new guy that came onto the market, I could market this product at making it $20 a pop, let's just call it that, and then turn around and sell it at 40, and then people pay shipment of $10, and they're still getting it to their door cheaper than going through all these other sources. So they're paying $50 for a tub instead of 75 to 100. And they're big tubs. They're not these little dinky 1 pound ancient nutrition tubs, from Dr. Josh Quack Axe or whatever his name is, that guy. So I looked into it, and then I thought, you know what, that's super, super, super easy to get that done. So that side, if I ever wanted to do it, I know the market's there for that. So let me go back and I'll poll everybody and tell them what's going on. So I went back to the keto group, and I said, this is what I got right now. This is what I'm working with. Are you guys interested? And it was overwhelming. There were hundreds of people that responded just within a few days. I'll order 3 tubs right now. I'll send you the money right now. Just get it made. You know how many times we go to the gym, we're out and about, we're at sports games with our kids, and we don't have food. And if I could just pull out that pre-measured, baggie of keto meal that's in my purse and just dump it in some water and shake it up real quick and just drink it, I know I've got my fat and my protein for my meal for the evening, or maybe 2 servings of it. And it's just super easy that way, and then I don't have to worry about everything. And there were other people that popped up and said, look, I'm even interested in helping fund it. I'll send you $400 or $500. Another guy said, actually, I'll pull my Bitcoin stock and I want to invest with you. I think that's an amazing idea. I will invest on the product with you because I know it's a great market. It's a great tool. I know we could make money off this and still be fair to the people. And I kind of backed out of it. It got overwhelming. I didn't know where to go with it. I didn't have a good business partner or anything like that. And I just wanted to see what it would take. So I took it a step further. I called up the FDA, and they said, we don't regulate that stuff. We don't have anything to do with that. If you put a product out on the market, you put it out on the market. We're not going to stop people from buying it. Just don't put on there that this is going to fix this condition. This is going to fix that condition. If you start taking this, you don't have to take that anymore. Simply put your label on it, put your nutrition stuff on it, and he said that's even susceptible to you. You don't even really have to do most of that stuff if you don't want to. Just put dietary supplement on it. As long as you have those words dietary supplement on it, your hands are clean. You don't have to make any. It doesn't even have to work. and there's nothing that anybody can sue you on. There's nothing that anybody can do other than if you sold them a bad batch. And they said every batch is stamped that's made, so they're going to know exactly what batch to pull off the shelf, and then you just continue making your product. It's not a big deal. There's no laws that stop people from doing that stuff. He said, but what you want to do is you want to call your local health department up and see how it has to be stored and stuff at your facility. I said, all right, let me give that a shot. So I call up local health department and stuff like that, and they patch me through to these other people that deal with putting food out on the market, how it's stored, and things of that nature. And I said, what do I have to do to store 144 containers of keto protein in my garage? Can I put it on pallets so it's up off the ground and just, kind of keep it covered or whatever? And she said, is it a climate controlled garage? I said, absolutely. My door is attached to, all I do is walk down my stairs and I go make a left and I'm in my garage. I just leave the door open. I got the AC and stuff running. It's completely climate controlled. And they said, there's nothing we can do. All we're going to do is come look in your garage, see, oh, it's off the ground. Here you go. You passed your inspection. You're done. There is no legislation. There's no rules. There's no laws. There's nothing that protects you as the consumer to make sure that the product that you're getting is exactly what you're buying, other than using it and seeing how it's affecting you in general. That's it. There are no rules and regulations that protect you. None. Zero. So that's why I wanted to create this image of me doing this, people knowing that I'm true, I'm honest, I don't lie about anything, I'm super transparent. A lot of people trust me. So I thought, why not create my own brand? Because they don't know these other people, but they do know me. They can see years of me operating on here. I'm not going to lie about stuff, and I'm not going to put a junk product out. So I thought, maybe that's something that I could do in the future. Maybe that's something that I should get involved with to see it. Supplementation is not going to go away. So I know it's sad. I know that's, but that's the truth. There's nothing that protects you as a consumer on supplementation. As long as that product says dietary supplement and it doesn't lay any claims to, this is going to get you off this medication, this is going to fix this condition, there's nothing that anybody could do. Nothing. Anyhow, that's it. That's my pre-workout talk. That's my creatine talk, and that's the talk about how easy it is to create your own supplement. And if anybody watches this video and they're interested in entertaining the idea of possibly starting something, I'm always interested. But as of right now, unless I get a business partner going into something, I'm not going to do it. Anyhow, that's it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.